The ancient moon Kepler 442c had witnessed civilizations rise and fall for over 12 billion years. Its cratered surface bore the scars of cosmic wars, and its core hummed with the accumulated wisdom of 1 trillion dying suns. When the first human ship Defiance entered its orbit, the moon's consciousness stirred with curiosity, then alarm. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge, her weathered hands gripping the command console as she stared at the readouts. The energy signatures coming from the moon were impossible. Nothing should be alive after the vacuum plague had swept through this system, consuming every trace of organic matter down to the molecular level. "Captain," called out her xenogeologist Dr. Chen, "the moon, it's responding to our presence. The electromagnetic patterns are almost like speech," Elena finished. She had seen enough in her 40 years of deep space exploration to recognize when something ancient was trying to communicate. The moon's voice, when it finally reached them through quantum resonance, was like the grinding of continental plates mixed with the whisper of solar winds. "Young species, why do you come to this dead place? Do you not know the fate that befell the Eternals?" Elena activated the universal translator, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what was happening. "We're explorers. We came here following distress signals from a research station." "The Eternals," the moon continued, its consciousness vast and tired, "ruled this galaxy for 3 million of your years. They conquered death itself, existing in bodies of pure energy. They believed themselves gods. Through the viewports, the crew could see other celestial bodies beginning to pulse with similar energy. Asteroids, dead planets, even the system's dying star seemed to flicker with awareness. They were all ancient, all conscious, all bearing witness to humanity's arrival. The vacuum plague was their final creation, spoke an asteroid that had once been a planet, its voice sharp with bitter memory. A weapon designed to consume all organic life, leaving only their energy forms to inherit a sterile universe. But the plague evolved. It learned to devour energy too. Dr. Chen's readings spiked. "Captain, I'm detecting massive quantum disturbances throughout the system. Something's coming." The star itself spoke then, its voice the roar of nuclear fusion across eons. "The plague returns periodically, drawn by signs of life. It sensed your ship the moment you entered our system. You have perhaps minutes before it arrives to consume you as it consumed the Eternals." Elena felt her crew's eyes on her, 23 souls aboard the Defiance, facing a cosmic horror that had destroyed godlike beings. The smart choice was to run, to warn Earth, to live to fight another day. Instead, she smiled. "Dr. Chen, how long to analyze the plague's energy signature when it arrives?" "Captain, you can't be serious. How long?" 30 seconds, maybe 40 if we're lucky." Elena turned to her weapons officer. "Lieutenant Park, prepare the Humanity Protocol." Park's face went pale. The Humanity Protocol was theoretical, untested, a weapon system that used human neural patterns as a targeting matrix. It was considered by most to be elaborate suicide. "Foolish youngling," the moon's ancient voice carried notes of what might have been affection. "You cannot fight what destroyed the Eternals. They had weapons that could crack reality itself." "Yeah," Elena said, her fingers dancing across the console. "But they forgot something important." The space around them began to writhe and twist as the vacuum plague manifested, a writhing mass of hungry void that devoured light itself. It pulsed with malevolent intelligence ancient beyond measure and utterly confident in its supremacy. "They forgot," Elena continued even as the plague began reaching tendrils toward their ship, "that sometimes the best solution isn't the smartest one." The Humanity Protocol activated. Instead of sophisticated energy weapons or quantum disruptors, the Defiance began broadcasting something far more dangerous: human creativity, stubbornness, and the peculiar ability to find solutions in the most impossible circumstances. The ship's computers, infected with human neural patterns, began generating responses to the plague that defied conventional logic. Where the Eternals had tried to overpower the plague with superior technology, the human influence systems began doing something unprecedented. They started learning faster than the plague could adapt. Not through superior processing power, but through pure, chaotic, illogical human intuition. The plague recoiled, confused. For the first time in eons, it encountered something that refused to follow the established patterns. Elena's crew began modifying their ship's systems in real time. turning mining lasers into quantum scramblers, using their navigation systems to create temporal distortions and somehow, impossibly making it work. How? The voices of the ancient celestial beings merged into a chorus of amazement. Because, Elena said, watching as the plague began to destabilize, we're too stupid to know when we're beaten. The vacuum plague, faced with an enemy that operated on principles it couldn't comprehend, began to consume itself in its confusion. Within minutes, the cosmic horror that had terrorized the galaxy for millions of years had devoured its own essence, leaving behind only empty space and the stunned silence of ancient witnesses. Impossible, whispered the moon. The Eternals were gods among the stars. How could such a young species succeed where they failed? Elena looked out at the stars, no longer ancient judges but simply celestial bodies in need of protection. Because the Eternals tried to become something they weren't. They forgot what made them who they were in the first place. As the Defiants prepared to leave the system, the moon's final message followed them into hyperspace. Perhaps there is wisdom in remaining foolishly, stubbornly, impossibly human. The old moons and stars had screamed in terror for eons, but when humanity finally broke their last bone of despair, they found something better than godhood. They found hope. In the ship's log, Elena wrote simply, "Mission accomplished. The universe is safe for another day. Humanity's greatest strength remains our greatest weakness. We never learned when to quit."